Hey everybody, I think we're going here. Let me see here, I'm supposed to have like things like chat. So last time I was unable to actually use the vMix control, is what we use for software. And so I was unable to listen to anything, and it was a little frustrating. Now I think I got it going. I should just listen to it now that I have a better way to tell what's going on with everything, because I set up a new rig here a little bit to better control the stuff. I now can see the chats in one place, since we are streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Let me see here. But yeah, it's going. Right, fantastic. Okay, well, so last week I was working on Space Marine, which is, Space Marine, the board game. It's a new game from Games Workshop that I believe is tied in with the video game, but maybe not. It is one Marine versus a bunch of Tyranid. Not Gene Stealers. Oh man, this is terrible. Tyranid, let's find out here. I should know. But anyway, so yeah, I've figured out, like, boy, I gotta tell you, I am really knuckleheading it today. A lot of stuff happening. We filmed on Sunday all day. It was a great day. And Termagants, geez, why do we even have to keep digging? Anyway, so there we go, it's Termagants. Hey, Midland, Michigan, how you doing, Proximity Illusions with Carrie Rostolin, there we go. Thanks for liking the show, and we definitely have fun doing it. We did film this weekend with Dave and Deborah and Russ, a friend of ours from the UK. He's visiting. We're going to film again today. And then we are going to Germany soon, so Nikki and I are going to be working hard on that stuff. It does sound like the music might be loud. I don't know. Let's see if I can adjust that a little bit. Boy. There we go. It's okay, though. I do like hearing the music. Last time I was actually saddened not to hear it. But just it's, when you're sitting here by yourself and, wow, this is very slow today. It should tell me, there we go, epidemic. There we go, a little bit quieter. But yeah, keeps me entertained while I'm doing this. But, chatters help too. The funny thing is I actually have this set up to be in two different windows. And I do have two monitors here, which is helpful. Does seem like it's a little bright. I didn't actually really get to do all of... I did do the chat last time I was streaming, but I didn't get to do... I could not listen, couldn't hear any of the alerts from the stream elements that we use. So, but we love it. It's pretty great. And now I have a machine over here that does it all. And it's off my desk, and it's off from the left of me, which is where it was before. So I had to really, I'm looking off camera here, but I didn't actually have quite as much time as I'd hoped to or prepare it all this morning. Let me get that software window back up. And there we go. So let's cut to the table. Let me switch to that angle, though. That would help. I do know it. Let's see here. There we go. There it is. Hey, hooray. I do have my phone unmuted, and I do not know where it's at. Oh no. Too many things. I'll be right back. Hold on. Let me see if I can do that. Hey, goodness. Anyway, I'll be right back. You guys can hear me. Let me get that phone, though, just in case, because it's going to make a lot of noise. Today I'm going to be painting the Space Marine that comes with it, but I'm actually going to do two Marines. Boy, I don't see the phone there. So there's another box that I've got, which is the introductory box to Warhammer 40,000, which is, I believe, for the Leviathan. It is. It's the new one for the Leviathan thing. Boy, I don't know what I did with my phone. Not good. Huh. Well, let me check. Briefly, I see this phone. Wow, what did I do? I was looking at it. Sorry. Oh, here it is. Because I had to put my headset on. That was where I got distracted. I had taken, when we filmed this weekend, I had, I wore my headphones after we were done to go to dinner. I didn't have them on my head, but they're clipped to the back of my shirt. I always have them running down the back of my shirt so it kind of manages the cable. There we go. I know a lot of, I got fast lost because of our show. Fantastic. We have a friend, Randall, from Austin, Texas, who just bought that game himself. It's a little hard to get, but we love that one. Freedom in games are, so if you watch our show, you know we love freedom in games. We don't always do them, but they're always, we've collected most of them, not all of them. I do have a little bit of airbrush left here to clean up. Let's just do a quickie. This is just the airbrush that came with the compressor I had. I purchased a little compressor that is very tiny and rechargeable, and it actually does a pretty great job. This is the airbrush that came with it. I decided to go ahead and use that today, and it's fine. It's not a great airbrush, but I've talked about this before with people, and I wanted to go over it a little bit. The compressor itself is really great because you can do it. It's very quiet. And it has pretty great pressure. I'm not certain it has enough pressure to run. I think I was trying to run one of my older airbrushes the other day, and it was just not cutting the mustard. I do not know what was the issue. Let me get a Q-tip here. It's always good to clean. Now, this airbrush, the reason why I don't love it, wow, I thought they were right here. The reason why I don't love it is it's not great for, wow, nothing's where I remember it. Oh, there they are. I did a lot of work in the studio this last week, but they don't clean well. Like this one has a nozzle that you have to remove with let's see if it'll focus here. This little nozzle at the end, you have to remove with a tiny little wrench. And then the gasket is not that great. It is rubber, I believe, or something, synthetic rubber, and that dissolves with solvents. So sometimes you need to clean with solvents, especially if you're spraying non-water-based stuff. I don't necessarily recommend that, but there's a little gasket here that's made. Oops, you can't see it. There's a little gasket here that's made of rubber. And that's going to break down. And this one maybe gave some parts. I don't recall. I don't think so. I bought another airbrush that Barbados Rex, a YouTuber who does a lot of reviews of airbrushes and things like that. He recommended it. And it's a nice airbrush too. I mean, these are both decent. But I honestly feel if you just save a little bit more money and get one of, like a Badger, which Badger is the airbrush I've been using forever. I have many of them. They do make their setup a little bit unhospitable for folks because it uses a different, I'll show you real briefly here, uses a different connection for the air hose. And that's actually kind of a problem. I mean, it's not if that's all you use. So I have this airbrush, which is a Sotar. It is probably one of my favorite airbrushes. It has a different connector here on the end that connects to the hose. So you need either an adapter for this or a hose that supports it. I believe the latest Badger hoses might give you an adapter on it. They don't make a hose anymore that is specifically for that airbrush. I have older ones. Most other airbrushes, and I say most because there is one, hey, this is funny. See, this is what thinks it's weird about this airbrush. It's pulling out the air trigger mechanism. a little too easily. This is the same kind of connector. I'll explain that in a minute, but this is a larger connection. So these are the two different connections. I actually like this one when you use the older style air hoses because it was a smaller connector that actually bent away. It was great. I still have one or two hoses like that, but they break down over time. You know, the rubber. But what you do to get around this in general is you use a quick connect. I don't know if this one came with this, with the other airbrush, the $50, or gosh, is it $50? Or I can't remember. Maybe it's $40. This is the other one, Neo Deco. Or Neo Echo. I generally will try. I'm actually thinking about getting the new Harbor Freight. That's kind of a rip-off of the. It's called the Avanti, I think. It's a rip-off of the Iwata. Sort of like the Iwata, one of the higher end Iwatas. Not the highest end. The very highest end ones are like $400. And I just want to check it out because it's $25 regularly. And at Harbor Freight, you can use coupon all the time and save a lot of money. Hey, thanks for the follow, Mitch Skid. Thank you so much. This one actually came with a lot of parts, and it actually came with what they call a quick disconnect. These connections here, I had to buy the ones from Badger. I bought the ones from Grex, and I honestly don't feel they are correct. They don't seem to thread correctly, and I'm afraid of stripping it because they don't. Now, it could be just a different design, but they don't thread on as easily as these do. So I bought some from Badger. Now, this Badger Sotar is like $108, maybe. Maybe that's a cheap price. But it can be had for less. If you keep an eye on it, especially on Amazon, they will drop the price. And now this is, well, let me say this. This is a more of a higher end airbrush. I mean, it is a higher end airbrush. It's also a little bit harder to use. I will show you why. So, you know, I was talking about that teeny little nozzle on this and on this one and the other one I was just looking at. Let's pull that off. See, they have like exactly the same components. I believe this stuff is interchangeable. I'm not certain that like this part is the front end, but I think it is. And that's cool. At least you could get some parts. I haven't purchased any yet on Amazon. They have kits that claim that they're universal, not obviously universal, but universal for this type of stuff. But on the Badger here, I might have a little bit of difficulty getting that off because it's a tight. The nozzle on the front end is tight. It has the tiniest little grain of rice needle. So it looks exactly the same, but this actually comes off. So let me just show you. It's just this tiny little piece. And even me, who has used these airbrushes for ages, I have not used these. This is new to me. It is hard. Like, I haven't lost one yet, but I certainly feel like I could. And it's delicate. So I will show you another airbrush that will most assuredly be a little bit less expensive from Badger that this actually has 2 levels too. So you could, this other piece is really kind of hard to take off. And you have to be delicate, right? The needle, you want to make sure you don't bend your needle or the nozzle. Ooh, see, there you go. Now this is a very fine, pretty fine nozzle. It's not the finest, I don't believe, or maybe it is. I think it is actually. I bought the other adapter kits, the nozzle kits, to change it out if you wanted to. Yeah, it's also the needle is exposed, so that's not beginner friendly either. There are some that will give you a little. Well, I guess since I've started on airbrushes here. There are some that have this type of a nozzle protector on the end, nozzle cap, and that will protect the needle. You can get close, because one of the things to get very fine is you need to get close. So this is pretty good. These types of things end up any kind of cap collects paint and stuff, so it might not be so great, but I only occasionally, I mean, I did it today when I was airbrushing. I took the nozzle cap off. The tip, let's see here. So let me show you one that is similar. Did I just disconnect myself? Nope, music change. I think I have so many, I bought a bunch because I was crazy. I don't think this is the one to look at. They do have one now, the Patriot. Oh yeah, this one will do it. This is a fine one. This is the Badger Patriot 105 is what, this is the Extreme. So the Extreme is a very fine one, but it is similar to the Patriot 105. It has the same kind of nozzle as that little tiny one, sort of, but, wow, that just fell. That one comes off very easily. But it's much, much larger. You're much less likely to damage it if you're cautious than the other, and much less likely to be lost. Those little tiny grains of rice ones are very, very small. Now this is the Extreme. I don't even know if this is easy to get anymore. I see parts for it. I actually had to buy a part for this one recently. This piece got lost here, which is called a pack valve, and it's a way to adjust the flow of the paint, I think. Maybe it might be the air. I think it is the air. But I've heard that it's not so great. I just bought this one just to try it out, and it's fine. But once again, this one has the needle pointing out at the tip. There's a new version or a new needle cap here that can be flipped. This is not that one. You can flip it so it's this way. It is, you can do the close stuff, and then you can flip it the other way, and it actually has a protector sort of like this does. So anyway, so if you buy the Patriot 105, you can actually get those for considerably cheaper, and that's probably really what people should get, even though my feeling is if you're just getting into the hobby and you're figuring out if you like these things, then maybe don't spend a lot of money and just go for one of these. So this kit here that included this airbrush and, let me get the compressor over here. This compressor, it came with the compressor. This is rechargeable, has this gauge over here, tells you how much, let's see if it'll focus here, how much charge you have. I'm at 50% here, because that was at 75. It lasts a long time. It's actually probably a couple of hours of spray, at least at this point in time of the battery life. But it comes with the hose, the airbrush, the compressor, and it's like $55 to $70 maybe when it's on Amazon. And there are other ones that are similar. There's one from that exact same brand. This is YF Yufu. There's another one from them that is cheaper. And it may be just as good. I don't know. So yeah, I would, it's very, so I'll explain here the reason why an airbrush is sort of important. Because I did not clean this, which I will do later. The airbrush is probably, oh no, I didn't do the last bit. Let me just do the last bit here because I want to make sure before I forget it. Of course, where's the alcohol? So that's one of the things, right? Alcohol will break down some of the seals. So I'm using alcohol now to clean it, and it's just because it'll be faster and do a much better job than I would normally do. So I'm just going to clean it at the tip here. So it's okay. The nice thing is this has a pretty good reservoir with a screw cap. It's not perfect. It doesn't flow in here very well. It's not rounded. It's just like bored out, but it's aluminum. It's light. So it's okay. I definitely think they're worth considering. You can always use that compressor with the other. It does not include the adapter or the quick disconnect. I didn't show that. Let me show that real fast. So the quick disconnect, it comes with components to adapt and stuff, but the quick disconnect is this. So this is the Grex one. It's a little larger than most of them. Badger makes one that's much smaller. They are all compatible. All of the connectors are the same size. And then you quickly, if you were going to switch between airbrushes, I I don't necessarily do that. I've done it a couple times. Mostly I'm just cleaning the cup and then changing it to the next color. But these work very, very well. And this one actually has another air control. This is called a MAC instead of a pack like on the other one. And it will increase or decrease. I'm at max pressure right now, and it can go to the lowest. Lowest is actually off. So there you go. That's 0. And so this is a pretty cool setup, plus adding this, which is $20, or no, more than that. I think the Badger one's about $20. I would actually suggest the Badger one, because it'll work with all the airbrushes, but the Badger one will give you an adapter if you buy a Badger air. If you have a Badger airbrush, it'll give you the quick disconnect adapter with it and some other connector on the other end of it. Let me see if I have it right here to show you comparison of size. It's crazy how different it is. But yeah, they're good. Yeah, here you go. This is the one I got from Amazon, the Badger version of that one. And here you go. Let's A/B the size. It's considerably, well, it's not that much bigger. But I mean, this has got a connector on it. This has got a quick disconnect on it. So this has an adapter to a Badger style hose that you might have incoming. If you take it off, you can use it on a standard hose like this one does. And then it's got a smaller dial, and then it's also got the quick disconnect for the Badger in it. So it's actually probably considerably smaller. Let's go from the quick disconnect part. It's a good ½ inch longer or so, maybe, and a heavier gauge. It may be more durable. I don't know. I'm not that abusive. I'm actually very not abusive to my airbrushes. I still have the very first airbrush I had, and I love their stuff. Okay, let me see here. I don't think something is accurate on my stream. Okay, let me check something real fast. Let me show you the minis. I'll put them here in the shot. So this one is the one that came with Space Marine. I did the Zenithal highlight on it. This is the one that Space Marine, the board game, and then this one is from the one of the ones from the starter kit. I think it is like this is the Lieutenant. I don't think, I mean, you know, base size gives you an indication of how important it is. I imagine this is probably not a Lieutenant. Let me check one thing here. Yeah, I'm in the wrong chat, of course. Let me just see if I can change it. Because I switched over to, we followed somebody else. Is it going to delete? No, let's close it. Let me get to the chat on Twitch. Isn't that great? Boy, my headphones is caught on something here. There we go. That's the one thing I wouldn't mind having, some wireless headphones. Twitch. Let's see here. There's so much stuff on these pop-ups now. Oh, you know what? I'm in the wrong place. I need to be in the creator dashboard. Boy, this is real clumsy today. It's all new stuff to me. Oops, that's not what I want. Twitch appeals. I'm not having a problem there. So yeah, it's hey, there we go. There's people. Sorry guys, I missed you. Mitchki D and for following me. Wow. Oh, I think I mentioned that earlier. And Dominaria CG followed me. Thank you. Well, hi Time Roller. Let me get the chat going here. Yay. I wished I could just leave these windows open, and I thought I could, but obviously I can't. Anyway, I want to make sure I see everybody that's chatting here. Cool. Okay, so yeah, anyway, I was thinking about painting one of these with the airbrush paint, not airbrush paint, contrast paint. I actually do not have ultramarine blue. I meant to go buy that and did not get it this weekend. I ended up being way busier than I'd hoped. And I'm not even sure I could have gotten it because that store is sold out of so much stuff all the time. But I will use another blue. I actually probably prefer this blue. But I know I love this blue. This is one I've used a ton. I was gonna, just airbrush the coat on. These contrast paints make great airbrush paints. I don't think you need to thin them at all. But here's the thing, you could, because I'm using them in a different manner. I would be spraying them over this this zenithal highlighted miniature, and the shading would already be in there, right? It's perfect. The reason why I was contemplating this, you end up having lots more smooth surfaces on these marines, large smooth surfaces that affect the contrast paints. You know, contrast paints need to be, they definitely work better on organic objects. You know, like for example, I always show this one, but it's so tiny, but lots of, you know, shapes and stuff. You know, it's very organic looking. It hides any of the issues that contrast paints might have. So I was painting these the other day. I did mostly finish this one, and you know, it's got lots of shapes. It's got like these, you know, striations and actual breaks in, or whatever, you know, in the it's gosh, somebody said it the other day, chitin, or I can't remember. It's correct. It is. I remember reading about it like a long time ago. But the armor, and so it kind of conceals some of it. So you can see there's a little bit of pooling of the color there and here, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter on these, and it's really not a big deal on the others as well. It's just if you're trying to make it look particularly nice, it might be better to airbrush or use standard paints. Standard paints that are thinned properly will give you a much better, probably a better result. But it's really up to you on that. You don't have to go crazy on it. And the thing is you can manage it. I have painted some smooth surface. I mean, I painted this. Now this is a yellow, so it's not exactly, but I painted this orc that's from Warhammer Underworlds, and you know, I painted the cape. It's a pretty large smooth surface. There's a little bit of pooling there. I mean, you want that, but you want to manage it. But he looks really cool. It's not quite done, but it's getting there. So I mean, it's doable, and you can manage your results. It's just it's not going to look as smooth as a standard paint. This is the paint that they give you, which is Macragge blue. It's funny. I guess maybe in the contrast paints it's ultramarine blue, but you know, it's not the same color. It's much lighter. And I mean, I have. They're not here right now. I have some Chaos Marines that are painted with that because we primed them with the blue that you can buy in the rattle can from Citadel, and I believe that is an ultramarine blue, but maybe it is Macragge blue. I don't know. So let's get started. I'm going to try to do them both. I was really hoping to do one of them with the contrast paint, and then I just looked at how much stuff that would be covered with blue that I didn't necessarily want blue. So I just thought we'll go with this one. So let's paint the one that's actually from Space Marine, the board game, and let's see what we can get. Now, it's got lots of blue. Both of the shoulder pads are blue. It's got... let's see, he's got a I think it's a power chainsaw or something. No, a power saw, or I can't remember the name. Boy, it's been a while. I haven't really read the lore on this in probably 18 years. But they actually, you know, they give you quite a few minis. The funny thing is, the Space Marine is the title is literal. It is one Space Marine. I've never, maybe another game, maybe one of the combat arenas might have had one Marine, but I'm pretty certain they had more than one Marine. But it's funny that there is a single Marine in lots of Tyranids. Usually it is quite a few. You know, Marines are always more powerful, so there are fewer of them. Let's see here. That is not the guy. His tabard is white. Yipes. Okay. Are we going to go for that? It's very small. I should have airbrushed it more white. But I'm going to avoid painting that. Let's just go with his. I think the Ultramarine logo on his knee is gold. This is going to be a lot darker than most people are used to for Marines. Sorry, my head's in the way. I need to move kind of quickly to make sure that I don't. I did get some on the boot. The boot. This has got some damage on it too. That is cool. Boy, it's not focusing. Come on, camera. I have actually probably painted the least Space Marines of any of the GW minis. I actually would love to. I've purchased armies. I have a Black Templar army twice. I don't have a complete, like, not second edition, latest Black Templar army. I don't actually know what year that set came out. I thought it was around 2000, but I think it was a few years old at the time. I bought third edition when my friends got into this and dragged me in. I was at first resistant. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's expensive. I'm not, come on, focus. I don't want to do that. I don't want to pay that much money. But then I was kind of hooked by the minis. They've always been really nice. And so I got into Eldar. I actually like the Eldar, and now they're called Eldari. I really like the Eldar, but I also was very fortunate because my friend Alf wanted to try doing a different army. He had bought a considerable amount of Eldar at the time, and so he was getting rid of them, and we always called it an Alf fire sale when he was tired of something. But you know, it's smart. Get rid of the stuff you're not going to use. I have all of that plus everything else. I have given away I've sold nothing. I don't sell anything, but I've given away things of Marine 40K, 40K stuff, 40,000 to people that are interested in trying it out, because I don't mind doing that. I'm not a person who sells. My friend Sebastian, who came to visit us from Germany in 2019, was like, you should sell a lot of the stuff that I have, because when I got into it, I bought stuff from all of the games that were kind of available at the time, or just had passed. So I have like War Master and Epic 40K. Not a lot of Epic 40K, I don't think. Although I haven't looked in a long time. And Battlefleet Gothic, which was a fleet. So you had little spaceships fleet game. That was cool. So yeah, you can see already I'm getting some pooling here, which is a bummer. Generally what I also do is I paint with it thinned down a little bit with the contrast medium. But yeah, you want to work it while it's wet. And the thing is it is drying already, as we can see over here. What happens is it starts to gel before it really dries. And so you're supposed to put on one coat on these, like a kind of a heavy initial coat, but I never really go that crazy on it. A fire tutorial, how to make a realistic and how to light the, oh, so I have done a time, hey, there's Russell, who's in town visiting us. He's obviously taking a break from his sightseeing. So I've never done a lot of OSL. Let me see if I can find it real quick, which is what they're referring to with fire. I did do this Marvel United miniature that had, and I did a little bit of standard, and it's okay. Like, I'm definitely not experienced at. I want to get better at that. But I did this one with airbrush in here without using my spray. I have a little spray booth, which means, hey, thanks for the follow, FR Black Sheep. So I painted this one, and I decided, since he's got this glowing head, this is Dormammu, I sprayed some white on his shoulders, very lightly with the airbrush. I used that black Sotar 2020 to give it so that there'd be some glow there. I also had some glow on the ground. And then I also airbrushed I hand painted the yellow, and then I might have just airbrushed the orange and the red. I did do it on these tips here by hand. So, I mean, you can blend it. The nice thing about using contrast paints is they're very fantastic wet blending paints. They're not as, probably the end results are probably better with standard paint. I'm okay with wet blending. My friend Alf, who I mentioned earlier, was a phenomenal, yeah, this is going to be very dark blue. Probably too dark, but who cares? But yeah, he was a phenomenal wet blender. And I was very, very wanting him to teach me, and we were going to do it at some point, but it all fell kind of by the wayside. It was such a bummer. Because it was great. We used to paint together, and I'd learn stuff. And he was helping me with stuff, but he was just great. He had a really, really great style. But yeah, so there we go. So his tabard is white. I'm going to imagine it's going to be white on the other side too. I'll probably do it off-white. So yeah, you can see it's starting to pool. So I'll do a little bit of, oops, you can see that it's pooling a little bit. I'll try to do a little bit of damage control. It's one of the reasons why I thin it a little bit before painting, but I'm seeing how this all works. Actually, I think I will. So I have been using this silicone pop toy, and it's great. Generally, the paint will just pop. It'll easily pop off, or it will snap off on its own as it's drying and constricting. So it's pretty great. Now, I am going to thin this, which means it's not going to be quite the same intensity of blue as the other leg, but I might as well do it now. I can always use the excuse that that leg is down in the shade, but I might do more than one coat anyway. So how you thin paints I mean, you should maybe a little bit of water. I don't generally use any water, but you use contrast medium. It changes the color, but doesn't it doesn't change the color that much. But it makes it so that it is a little bit less intense, and you are able to so for example, I will be using the Gilliman Flesh, which is one of my favorite colors. I did not know when I first bought the paints. I'm like, man, they have a terrible flesh. It's dark, and that's fine. Dark's not a bad one. But I was trying to paint, like elves, and or whatever these one guys were, and they have pale flesh. Some of them anyway, and so I was bemoaning the fact that they didn't have a good flesh tones, in any kind of flesh tones. They did have one of my favorite colors in the original run was the Plague Bearer flesh. Gosh, let's focus. What I found out is when I went to the store to really look at all the colors, the example they have in I imagine I saw that when I bought it, in the paint display is going from a dark to a light color. And I'm like, what is that? And it didn't even occur to me to thin the colors with the contrast medium. I don't even know what I was thinking. And that totally did it. So I now have, I have done the Marvel United stuff with going from super pale Black Widow to dark-skinned Okoye and Nick Fury, and I love Okoye and Shuri's minis. They just turned out great. And the flesh tone's awesome on all of them. They're all different shades, I just love it. So they have them. So that's looking okay now. It's got some pooling here, so I'm going to probably want to pull some of it off. And the way you do that is you have a brush with at least less paint on it. But part of the problem is you start to mess with the effect of the contrast medium. So this was an interesting mini to put together. They're like, paint is not needed. There's a lot of push fit kind of stuff going on. I will partly agree with that. I ended up gluing on the pads, the shoulder pads, because they were just too loose. And the post that they were connecting to was not very great. So I ended up using some glue, which was a bit of a disappointment, just because I'd like to try to do it the way they recommend, and so I can recommend it. Okay. So there's like a gap here with the leg, which I don't quite understand. Up here, it doesn't really matter. It's not that visible. But it is odd to me. This is part of the push fit aspect of it. I was confused, like, what was happening. But it is not that big of a deal. And it's a great idea, like not having to use glue is really fantastic. Means that this was dry a lot quicker, and I didn't have to worry about airbrushing. Hey, I just put my finger on that. So I probably should be using a handle, which I will do now. That's pretty funny. Usually I do that on the head. And I'm like, oh, handle. So let me get the handle. It's also easier just to bind your hands to make them a little bit, let's not make a mess here. But I am going to try to do maybe some, I watched, so Wapelius, which I generally go to after I'm streaming on the evenings, if he's painting, he was doing OSL lighting of Shatterpoint miniatures, and it was amazing. So he paints with oil paints on his minis. Well, I thought I was getting it in the shot. He paints with oil paints, and it is just unbelievably great. And he's working quickly because he's not waiting for anything. You can blend and change the color. It's like oil paints take a while to dry. So as long as you're good at handling the miniature, and he does not use a paint handle, I don't think, you're going to get really amazing results. Or you can get amazing results. Did I just get blue on that belt? I sure did. Now the thing is you can easily repair that. Oops, it's not in focus. I think I need to take this out of the frame. Although the matte might not be great. I actually really like this paint matte, but I don't think you can buy them anymore from GW. I actually meant to buy one for Nikki as well. And I should have, because I don't think you can get them. Maybe I'll find it in a store somewhere, but I doubt it. Their supply situation, they change them up and come up with better items. I mean, I really love their paint cup, or their water cup, because it's very light, but it is not going to have any issues. Like, number one, you won't drink from it because it is wow, did I just touch it again? I think I did. I'm going to just let it go. You won't drink from it because if you use a mug, I have a tendency to almost drink up from it. I've never done it yet, but it's been a close call so many times. I was very happy when they offered this new paint cup. I'll show you one. It's this is actually Nikki's. It's just this flared plastic cup with lots of rills in it, and raised edges and stuff to like clean your brush out, and it is really great and a great price too. I think they're around $8 or $9, or at least they were. And you know, that's not bad. I mean, you can buy a mug for a lot cheaper or just use a mug. But I think a mug is I mean, they actually, for a long time, I don't know, they might still sell mugs. They used to sell GW mugs. I just was so close to drinking at them so many times. I was really happy when they had that figured one out. Because regular cups, you know, it's flared, so it's heavier at the bottom. It's not focusing. You know, it's not going to be easily tip over necessarily. He looks cool. It's a different blue for sure. I've never bought the ultramarine blue because people were complaining about it initially. But I also feel that was the very beginning, and I think people had a lot to learn about these paints, because even I was doing pretty good, but I figured out a lot in just the time that I've used them, and I really, really like their paints a lot. And I think the regular paints are pretty good, and their shades are pretty good. So I think I need more paint. I'm going to leave that abdomen there to dry and then do another coat. But I think you're going to get, you see like this leg here, obviously much darker, plus a coat of the thin down stuff. I'll do a couple coats on that to try to brighten. Now it's also, well, it probably shouldn't be as bright as this. This foot should be brighter as far as sunlight coming down on it, because this leg is sticking out further. So I can't use that as an excuse. Yeah, I don't think I have a good picture of the mini here, of like painted. Again, I feel you should do what you want. There's no reason to paint this even blue. This kit does not come with paint, so you're allowed to do it however you want. There are all kinds of Space Marine chapters, and you can do anything you wish. Hey, David. We have been so crazy getting ready to leave, and to have Russell visit us, which has been great. Let's see, let's look at him for a minute. I'm going to look up some images and see if I can find them. Lieutenant Titus. Like, I want to see like some of these other bits. He's got a lot of purity seals on him, which is awesome. But yeah, they have, what is it called? A power saw? I don't remember now. I thought it was a chainsaw, but that's totally standard name, so I don't think that's it. I actually brought this into my room the other day to try to read it, and I did not get through it very. I've just been so tired. Yeah, so I was mentioning Battlefleet Gothic. This ship here is like what the ships look like in Battlefleet Gothic. This is some of the flavor illustrations. There's this crazy Tyranid space unit, I guess. I know nothing about that stuff. Well, they're not in there, but let's go back to that one image, so at least I have it for some reference. They have a lot of Terminators in this, in the images they have. Terminators are like the really heavy units for Marines. Let me look here. There's some images. That's neat. Of course, it's not. There we go. Okay, so it's like, it looks like an abacus or something. on his tabard, above his tabard. Okay, well there you go. So the buckle is blue. I was painting around it. I mean, again, do what you want. You don't have to worry about it. But I'm going to try to paint this stuff as it is. One of the nice things I will admit about using, it's particularly great with like the Marvel United stuff, is you're doing comic characters that are known. I have definitely made some choices of my own while doing them, but it's not it's not really a big deal. You can do what you want, but it is nice having a little bit of a guideline so I don't spend a lot of time thinking about what I want to do. I think I might be dreaming that I will get through both of these Marines. I'm pretty fast, and then that's basically getting like the minimum stuff down, and then I will spend time. I actually might start streaming a little bit more during the holidays when I have probably a little bit more time. I might stream painting on weekends and stuff a little bit, just since I'm going to be doing it, because I really want to get through a lot of stuff. I think this looks pretty good already. Just the blue is really neat and different. So that looks pretty dry on his abdomen, but there's a little bit of wet spot here in the damage, the battle damage. So I'm just going to paint a little bit more. Now I really want to try to do, I usually paint the face, but on these they're so buried, first, they're so buried inside this armor. I'm a little nervous, so we'll see. I'm sorry you can't see what I'm doing here. Oh, I also used a little bit of glue here on the, it just wasn't holding together on the joint on the armor here over by his head, which was a bummer because I was really trying to just do it the way they sell super glue. I don't know if they sell any other, Siona, it's not super glue, it's a brand, but I don't know if they sell any plastic cement anymore. They used to have a great plastic cement, but the bottle that they sold it in was terrible. It would dry out so quickly. So I stopped buying that and I started buying Plastrux plastic glue, and the one I mostly use now is the Tamiya, which everybody loves. It's very thin, and you can make, and I think they actually even now sell a thicker version, but sprue glue, which allows you to, I'm not worried about getting it on the backpack here, the reactor or whatever it is, because it's going to be blue. So let's get on that. But yeah, sprue glue lets you fill in gaps. I don't have any sprue glue. I make it sometimes on the spot. What I will do is shave bits of plastic from the sprue. That's what sprue glue means, is that you take your plastic and you put it into the glue and you let it dissolve, and it becomes thicker and will fill gaps. I don't really know how big the gaps work when you do it that way, because I've never really made the bottle of that stuff, but it works for me when I'm doing oops, just on the chainsaw or whatever this is. Off of the chainsaw. Doesn't matter, it'll probably be silver, so you can clean up the paint generally if you're quick enough. Although I've seen, I was talking about last time that Dana Howell does something with the, at least the older versions of the speed paints from Army Painter, which had an issue with reactivation that she actually used to her advantage because she was able to wet blend. And one of the ways you do that is you can use their medium to reactivate the paint a little bit. And maybe this stuff does it. I've never done that. I only watched that video a little bit little bit back, I actually purchased one bottle of paint of theirs to try, and so I was, because I had been wanting to try it from last year, but I just couldn't find any of the stores locally that had it. They have Army Painter paints, but they already were like invested in the contrast paints, so I can see like why buy the other stuff. Now I haven't been to the nearest hobby store we have is, well, not the nearest, but the one that has sort of the best stock for this type of stuff is Game Ogre in Westlake, or actually I think they're in Oak Park. So whenever we go out that way, we might stop, but we just haven't. Their timing is like different from what we do, and so they open at noon and things like that. So we've gone a couple of times and they aren't open yet, and so we don't go there as often as we're like, hey, I just painted over that. I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. I actually ended up gluing the pack on as well, just because I felt it was poking out so much that I probably would knock it off. Although who knows? They're designed to have friction fit, I think I did glue the Tyranids last Thursday. The Gene Stealers ours. Actually, I didn't do them last Thursday. I did them previously. Because I did the unboxing of Space Marine last week. And so I had the Termagants already on hand. And so I painted them instead of the ones in the box, just because they were the same, but I didn't want to have to assemble them all on camera and then try to paint them. Did I just get paint on one of those? Oh, it's going to be gold, so it doesn't really matter. I'm using probably a larger brush than I normally would do here. Although these brushes are, larger brushes can do the job. You just need to make sure it has a good point. Now, there's a little bit too much paint in this, which is not to your benefit when you're trying to do details. Yeah, his backpack is really coming out real splotchy. Now that's a lot of relatively smooth space, so I'll just let it dry and build it up afterwards again. Ugh, it's starting to gel already. Taking my own life in my life in my own hands here with this, kind of applying it a little bit heavy. Is one element about contrast paints is that when you're doing it like this, which is what I'm doing with the zenithal highlighting, because the way they recommend it is you paint the whole thing white. And I actually should do some that way, just to see how it turns out. Now, I did do this one entirely with, I think, Codex White, as I think it was called, or Corax White. I don't remember. They don't sell that rattle can anymore. I do have the paint somewhere here that is the matching color for the, so that you could touch up. It's always good, like to have the Wraithbone when you have the Wraithbone undercoat, which I don't have. I actually like the cooler color undercoatings, but there's no reason to necessarily go with that. Let's put this where it's flat. Not focus. Got you. You can see the bubble popper. Really, the big thing is just to get started painting and get your miniatures to have paint on them. They look so much better. I don't even have. I'll show the termagants again. Turn to termagants, because they're not all completely done, and they look pretty great anyway. Well, none of them are completely done. I only got that one further along. I really wanted to actually do the basing on it and stuff, but I did not have the time. Okay, that's correct. I was like, well, I got that wrong. The shading is darker on this side, but it's supposed to be because this side is facing upward. Yeah, the pack's going to be weird. I mean, it is bright on the top, right? Need some more paint. It's probably better to mix. I don't know. I don't like to mix too much, no matter what I do. I also dip the end of the brush into the paint to transfer it. Any thought? Unqualifew. Thanks for the follow. I actually like to put it in, like essentially drops. It's not necessarily the best way to do if you're trying to do a mix, but you can. I don't have dropper bottles. That is the one thing that is not great about these. But here's the thing, working with these paints, generally out of the pot, it makes a lot of sense, but you need this. This or something else, but this is the one that GW makes. I've printed these out, and these work pretty good. I'm sorry, you can't see that. I 3D printed these out, and they're pretty good, but I like these big triangular ones, and I thought GW stopped selling them, but I saw them at Gen Con, so hopefully they're still manufactured. They're now, I don't believe they were made in China, but they are now made in China, but they seem pretty good. They seem maybe a little bit firmer rubber, plastic, which is fine. It seemed okay to me. Okay, more blue. Oh, let's briefly look. So yeah, these are the ones that I didn't quite finish. There's none of the highlighting that's going on with them. I mean, there's highlighting. I ended up doing the dry brush, but none of the color, the pink and all that stuff. But they look great regardless. This would look fantastic on the table, right? Maybe you want that tongue to be black. Maybe you want the gun to be black. The tongue to be pink, excuse me, and the gun to be black. Or maybe you want the tongue to be black. I mean, that might be cool. Dripping black would be awesome too. You really should just do what you want and get going. It's really, really awesome. And for me, I would love to paint more often. I have, it relaxes me. It gives me time to just chill and not really worry about stuff. I do have, lots of things I need to do all the time. And if I can take a break doing something like this, it's really wonderful. And it's not terribly expensive. So GW's Citadel's paints are a little more expensive. We've talked about this last week. But the thing is I really do like what they are doing. And they last a long time. I have only ever bought one bottle of every color except two. And those two were ones that I spilled. So I don't, I'm pretty certain I didn't get it done. I did not turn that phone down. But I keep thinking I'm not filming tomorrow, but I am. We are shooting another game night, excuse me, another BGG show. I'm excited to do that. I don't know what I'm worried about here. I'm going to be putting blue on that shoulder pad, and it's like, oh, might as well not worry about it. Because I'm probably going to try to use the gold they give me, which is different than the one that I like. My favorite gold is the Retributor Armor gold. Really, really love it. Pro Acryl or Monument makes pretty great gold called Rich Gold, and they're all, including Retributor, is similar to the one I used to love, which was Shining Gold that GW had, or Citadel sold back in the day. I really miss that color. I actually miss that formulation. It was made in France, so it was a different manufacturer than they're using now. And the new one's great, don't get me wrong. The GW guy store at the store that used to be near us, they closed it just after the pandemic kind of started to wind down, which was a bummer. He convinced me, he's like, "That it's good paint, I promise you." And so I bought it, and I was really impressed with it. Hey, I just got some on that stuff that I normally paint black, like the Connection. So you see here that this is a big, expansive stuff to paint, and it's not ideal. So airbrushing this, it changes the nature of what you're doing with contrast paints, but they work very, very well. I've done it on other things. I would really like to try it on one of these. I will do it and see what we get here. Maybe, since we'll be away next week, I won't do anything. I won't be doing anything for a couple weeks till we're back. But when we're back, I'm going to try it, see what we get. Maybe on a marine that doesn't have as much stuff going on, and maybe with a helmet. I had the choice. I was like, oh, I haven't really done one with his face exposed. And then I looked at the other one I had. I'm like, oh, I guess I do ones with their face exposed more than I thought. But as I said, I have not painted that many Space Marines. Yeah. Now you see this side has a lot more things. Oops. This shoulder pad has a lot more stuff with the... Come on, focus. That mat is not... I think this is not great. Anyway, a lot more stuff going on. So it might not look as crazy as this one. And there's lots of settling here because it's, you know, it's wet. I don't actually have the brush dry here, so let's dry it up a little bit to maybe wick some more of this color off. And just let it, wow, it's just shifting from side to side. Well, we'll see. I may end up, I mean, the other thing you could do is just paint those with a different paint. I don't really want to. The funny thing is it's got this dark drawing into the edges where it's dark, and generally what you want to do is kind of maybe put a little bit of a light highlight there. Anyway. Hey, Attack Mac. Let me see here. There's a bunch of stuff here I missed on the chat. Qualifu is a spam. I don't normally get spam, but I think we're on a, since I'm on Warhammer, a lot more people. Anyway, Contrast, this is Attack Mac. Contrast are fantastic paints. The whole Citadel range is great, and they should be considering their history and experience. But Army painters seem to have sort of the issue with speed paints for the 2.0 line. And coming in drop bottles with preloaded shake beads is just a dream. I agree there. That was my realization. I believe there were 2 agitator beads inside the bottle, right here. And that's pretty great. I mean, I'm hoping GW might respond with that. From what I've also seen also, speed paint flow better and are less prone to form stains on larger flat surfaces. Get really excited to get my set and try it out. Well, let me know how it turns out for you, Tac Mac. I am intrigued myself. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. Sorry, I'm having a hard time flicking bollocks. All right, just a quick hi. Hey, how you doing? Lacquering playing cards. I have never done that. Interesting. How many shades of blue? There are a lot of shades of blue, Salza. A lot of shades of blue in the contrast line, and I believe in the speed painter line. I'm not really certain. Hey, look, I was starting that. I better continue. I'm not really certain how, maybe they're gearing it for specific faction use and things like that, which is great, so you don't have to actually really mix the paint. Like there's not, I think there's a magenta, which I have. I don't have the pink. I need to buy the pink. That was the other paint I was hoping to buy. I should have just ordered it online, but I'm not even sure I would have gotten it in time for today anyway. Everything seems to be taking longer, and I know there had been some strikes and things like that. Hopefully people got what they needed. Wow, I left that to sit while I was talking for a minute, and it's already quite stained. I would be intrigued to see what speed paints do on that. Definitely let me know what the result was for you, Attack Mac. So I'm actually painting this edge blue, but it's going to be gold. And that may be a mistake. We'll see. Again, I'm using, it's more of a coppery gold, but I'm going to try it since it came with the kit. So this is like red on the, there's like a burst of red on this shoulder pad. So I'm going to have to figure out how I want to do that. I probably will paint some white down to make sure that the red is bright. So the nice thing about the contrast paints is they're really kind of already the right amount of flow out of the bottle. Whereas if you're going to use Games Workshop's standard paints, or any other paints almost regardless, you really need to, wow, I did not do a good job on that front. Or maybe I touched it. You need to really thin them so that they have a good consistency and come off your brush pretty easily. Because the reality is, you do not want to, and believe me, I am not great at it, you do not want to press, you want to just touch the miniature and have the paint flow off. I'm okay at it, and I'm definitely better with the contrast paints at doing that. See, so you can't see it right here, but what I'm trying to do, there's a little bit of coffee staining on this shoulder pad, I mean on this backpack, reactor backpack. So I'm just trying to smooth it out a little bit. And I feel you can do a pretty good job. It's not really hard. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. So this leg needs some more. It's very, very light, considering it's in the shade here. So I'll just do a couple more thin layers on it, and it should look fine. Again, I might have put a little bit too much highlight on that surface because it's not as far out as this one is. You know, eclipsed by the other elements on the miniature. I do like this blue though. I don't know if that was in the shot. So did I get that right? I did not. I'm eager to try this gold. So maybe... So it's already drying pretty quickly. This is pretty dry here on the shoulder pad. And you know, there's a lot of attention put on those shoulder pads, right? So that is kind of the downer about, and I've had that problem. When I've painted any shoulder pads with the contrast paints, that has been the real issue, is figuring out how to do that. And probably the best way to do it is thinner paints, maybe, or try these speed paints. I don't know. I'm going to have to try them. I will say, I think they have some pretty great colors. I was looking at the palette. Come on, focus. I was looking at the palette of colors. Excuse me, palette of colors, and it looked pretty good. I'm out of paint again. Maybe a little bit more of a mix. Now, this is a small palette, right? So that is part of the issue. I'm only doing so much here. And it's starting to dry up. Let me clean it out a little bit. I should actually let it dry. There you go. It just well, you can't see. It's just peeling off. The silicone tray is fantastic. Get another towel here. A couple towels, I guess, as they fell out. I need a little napkin dispenser. Okay. Well, let me clean it out a little bit. Boy, is it easy though. That's the other thing. Like if you let the paint dry in a standard plastic palette, good luck getting it out, especially a primer. When Candace and I were painting, I had her using the primer, the Badger Stynylrez primer on it, and man, I had to work to get that paint out of there because I did not deal with it. I think we went to go have lunch when Nikki and Candace and I went to have lunch when we were done, and so whenever I'm rushing, I tend to forget things, and that is not a good deal. So I'm going to put a little bit of contrast paint in first. Put it in the shot here. Wow. Using the newer bottle of contrast medium, and I really need to get through this other one. So one reason why I meant to lead with the contrast medium is I can then put it into the other bottle without having to clean the brush. If you go the other direction with blue and then into the contrast medium, you're going to tint the color. So you always start with the contrast medium and then put in the color. But per color, then you got to clean between the next color. I made a lot of blue, and I don't know that I need that much blue. Focus up here. Oh wow, you're going to go next week. That's exciting. I want to know. I'll be back. We won't be streaming till I get back after the 10th of October. I need to look at it because their schedule is going to be a little different. Derek has something happening, maybe jury duty. I can't remember. And so it might have been a family thing too. I can't remember. I need to ask him. I'll talk to him tomorrow so I can plan the schedule. So he was asking that we make sure that a certain time was off. I feel bad for not remembering because I was too much stuff on my mind lately. Really trying to get ready to be away for a few weeks. Even though, I mean, I'll have work to do and I can't ignore it. But working on the video stuff while I'm away, definitely not, I can't edit, is really hard. The push fit for the most part is pretty great. It does look good, and it is very nice to be able to have it be dry. Like you don't have to. I mean, I did glue a few things, but they were very deep, except for these shoulder things, and that's plenty, right? Why am I painting that blue on that edge? It's going to be gold, and hopefully soon. I really want to try it. So part of the thing is to do multiple miniatures so that you can move on to other parts of the project. But, boy, I wish I knew where that gray was. I really like that one. What did I do with it? I cleaned up so much stuff and moved things around. I'm missing a lens cap, all kinds of stuff. So let me see. So when you're using this to cover up something that you've already done, I'm actually going to use the primer. I have the gray primer. I'll put some in this silicone pot though and see how it goes. I just want to touch up a little bit on this edge because I want to, I think, what color is it on there? It is brown. So I want to do the brown, and I want it to be not have this blue on it. I don't mind a little. But you can see, now I got a tiny bit. Let me clean that off because it's dry on the blue. You can see it wasn't that hard to touch it up. Of course, maybe that's okay. I haven't tried the Vallejo primer. I've been using, or there's some new primer from Monument. So it's a little lighter there. Let me see if you can see it. It's a little lighter on there. And it's still some blue showing through maybe. But once you put the brown on there, you really won't see it. So I need it to dry. Now you notice it's not exactly the same. It's a little warmer gray than the funny thing is this gray's in there. But because I start with the black, then the gray, then the white, it changed the color of the gray. But I don't think you'll notice it at all once we put the brown on. So we have, I think it's snakebite leather still. Sure is. This is one of the earliest ones I bought. $7.80. Bought this 4 years ago, and I think it was 4 years ago, and it's still the same price. It's expensive. You probably can save a little bit online maybe. But I've used quite a bit of snakebite leather, and it has barely used any of it. Now, you know, I'm not painting giant surfaces. This one here, let's see where it's at on here. It's just below this label here. Oops. Just below this label, and I bought this 4 years ago. It was one of the very first colors I bought. And I love that color. I use it on all kinds of stuff. And so it does go a long way. You know, you're painting a lot of small things, so it's not really that big of a deal. So they actually had gold on the bottom. Let's try this gold. I'm probably still going to want to use the Retributor. I love the Retributor armor. Any of those bright golds are cool. This looks very copper to me. Here's Retributor armor. I did decant it. I don't know that it's worth the effort to do these things. You can see it's two different colors. And I love this color. But we'll see how this goes. So I'm using a vortex mixer, which is really meant to shake test tubes, but they use them to mix. Nail varnish and miniature paints. I've had this for a little over, probably about 6.5 years. It's called the Lab Genius one. They sell it on Amazon. That's where I got it. Yeah, see this paint. I don't feel like they're giving you a lot in this bottle. This is so maybe they're giving you these pots, but not quite as much as you would hope for. Now this is the one that comes with the kit, so. Actually, it may be what you get. I don't even know. I only have a few bottles of the modern stuff here. So this definitely needs to be thinned. It's all over my finger. I do know their metallics are pretty amazing. Even the new ones from, I think it's HMG is the people that manufacture the paint for them in Great Britain. And it's great stuff. But I really, for whatever reason, the consistency of the original, not original because there was stuff before that, which I have as well. As a matter of fact, where's the bottle of that? I have a bottle of maybe this color. I don't know where those are at. They're here somewhere. I'm trying to get all my paints here, but I have a spot that these are going to be, and they're not here. Anyway, it's an old bottle of that in like a hexagonal flip top bottle. Old. Not this style. Let's see, where do I have any of those? I do have these old mixing pots. These are the worst, some of the worst bottles ever. These are the, I think there's liquid in here. Hey, but I bet you it's evaporated. But this is a mixing pot. They sure were cool looking, but this seal was just terrible. Most of my paints that I had in those dried. If you caught it, you could rejuvenate the paint, but it's just not worth the effort. Although my friend Sebastian is great about rejuvenating paint. He has inspired me to not give up. So I will probably use a tiny bit of airbrush thinner. I think that's right here. It is very coppery. It almost looks like tin bits. What is this called again? Actually, I have that one. This is called Balthasar Gold. This is, I believe, what used to be tin bits, warp block bronze. It's dark. It's darker. I have not tried any of the Citadel air paints. I think they're still making those. Is this the thinner? It is the thinner. I'm not really big on thinning metallics with water. I've never been satisfied. I mean, I've done it for years, of course, because you just, what else would you do? But it was never real consistent for me. And I felt that they weren't good for the end result. This thinner is pretty great. They recommend, lots of people recommend you put some of that in your paint when you get it. And maybe you keep doing it. I don't know. I shouldn't maybe doing it with this big brush. Let's try we'll do a little bit. Just, I want to see. Hey, on his arm. So already not super happy. Figure's starting to pop. Thanks, Joe King. Flicking blocks. Just a quick. What else say? Do you ever paint a booger, a bogey up their noses? I have not. Or a mustache on a warrior princess. That's fun. I have not done anything like that. I probably should consider it. Except, although I think it is called a booger here too. Oh, bogey tuberits. Okay, there we go. I mean, I know that from Harry Potter. Wow, that is really too big. Let's go with a little brush. Now this is detail, so it's okay. Of course, I have blue paint still in this one. Let me clean it. Take a second to do it. Let's put the marine back down there so it can be seen. You can see the gold on there. Do I still have it on there? Arm? I do. Let me get that off. If you work relatively quickly, you can get the paint off. One of the things you can do to really protect yourself is to varnish between layers, and that's cool, but I'm not that person. I've done it for a few things. I did it for, what was his name? Kingpin. He had, I was painting pinstripes on his pants, and I decided I should varnish the pants before I did that so I didn't make too much of a mess, and it worked really well. Now, I feel it made it a little bit harder to actually to paint them because it wasn't, at least maybe it was my paint consistency. It wasn't going on and I had to do a little bit more effort, but I was able to fix my problems many times, and so it turned out pretty good. In the Hawkeye TV series, they had, wow, that's very loud. Hey, CBS Ink. How you doing? Have you painted, have you done any jerseys lately? CBS Ink does jerseys. One of the things that they do is jerseys for geeky jerseys, and I love geeky jerseys, as people might know. I keep waiting for them to do a Blade Runner one, though, but the replicants, come on, I told them about it already. How's it going? I'm working on a Space Marine today. Yeah, I don't like this gold. I mean, I like this. It's a great color. It's just not gold. So I might do a little bit of highlighting with it. It's funny, it's too red. It is flowing pretty good with a little bit of that thinner. Folks have lots of recommendations for the types of thinners you can use. Or solvent, you know what I mean, to thin your paint. I just like the airbrush thinner. It is not inexpensive. But at this point I find that I'm not using it too much because I don't use too much traditional acrylics. I don't do any thinning, at least intentionally, of the contrast paints. Oof. A little bit too fast there. Kind of needs to go over that edge, so it's fine. You really should have another paintbrush on hand, ready to clean up any mistakes, because it almost takes too much time to actually clean up the brush enough to make sure you don't make a mess on what you're trying to clean up. Yeah, I'm not sure I like this gold. It doesn't look like this gold on any of this stuff. It looks like Retributor armor. So I am going to just use some Retributor armor. We'll see how it goes here. Either that or the, I do have, like, I think all of the metallics from Monument Pro Acryl. So let me shake this bottle. It has, oh, hey, there you go. I was saying the other one. It's dwarf bronze. I actually decanted this as well. It was in the old bottle. That kind of looks like it's a similar color. No, it's more, that's similar. I need to put an agitator bead in there. So here's the retrobeater. I'm getting to where I'm running out of this. I think I need to go buy some more. Let's hope it comes out of the bottle. Hey, looks kind of wet. Cool. There's the color I like. Again, I might not, they might want me to use that retrobeater, that Balthasar gold for something else. Woof, this is still coming out of here. Let's just get it out. What is the deal with this? I'm not a big, I bought these on Amazon, I believe, these bottles, and they're not good. Somebody was saying maybe US Plastics or something made one that was better than this. Man, I've got gold all over my fingers. Okay, another drop of this stuff, at least. Metallics are funny to me. Smells soapy, this thinner. So maybe some of the stuff that people make works like this. I don't remember how much this cost. I think I bought this at a shop in Burbank. They sell pretty good stuff. Most of the kind of paint stuff that I want. Although I did not go back over there to see if they had any of the speed paints. Nobody in our area had any. There was some in Burbank, at Pasadena at a gaming store there, Gameology. They have a lot of marine miniature stuff. Okay, here we go. It's funny because here I am putting on the color. It would be nice to change it up, but I really felt that was just too copper. I am not going to get as far on this as I had hoped. I really wanted to finish one today. It's getting near the end of the stream time. I've got preparations to film today, so darn it. Marines are a little more complicated probably. I mean, they got a lot of stuff, and the funny thing is they're big. And I don't do too badly with big miniatures, but I am not moving quickly here. Of course, I'm redoing things, which is contrary to what you should be doing. But I like that Retrobeater Gold better. Let's focus here. So let's see if we can see some of the, it's mostly covered up now. It goes better with the blue. I don't know what the deal is. Blue and yellow, right? Maybe. Blue and yellow and orange, they're good colors. Shading here, so maybe I'll with the other gold. I don't know. I'm not good with, I've done some shading with metallics. Maybe I do the U with this other color. Let's try a little bit of this on here. Maybe just mix the two so it's slightly different. Got a lot of gold in here. That was because it was coming out so strong. So I have this metallic medium that I use to make brighter versions of colors of golds. So let's see if that'll work. It's basically like the silvery is silver, but it's kind of a pearl color. But maybe I can make, oof, that's very bright. It's a white gold now. But that's kind of what you need to do some highlights. Let me get a little bit of thinner again that I put over here. It is very soapy. So this is some sort of a solvent that is a soap. I mean acrylic, right? Ooh, it smells though. So you can see here there's this, it's actually maybe a little bit not quite enough bright, but it should be okay. I use it as a, I mean you could use white too to actually do the little tips. Now this brush may not be ideal for what I'm trying to do here, but I want to do a little bit of, woof, this is going to be hard. It's so hard to see the difference here, so I don't know that it makes a difference. I'm just going to do it anyway. Really what I should do is come in with maybe Seraphim Sepia wash to brighten it up. You know, to darken up, then come in afterwards with this. Wow, that's too much. Brush is not fine enough. I actually need a tinier brush. I do have tinier brushes. Let me find it. Over here, they call. These are very tiny brushes. This is my days of like thinking I needed to have the dinkiest brushes possible. Wow, okay. 18-aught. They used to sell these at, I think they were Michael's. It's very long and thin, but it is thin, so I should be able to do some lining with it. I think it might be a liner. It does say liner. There you go. But yeah, silver will be would be good. I don't know if I have the brightest silver. It already is. I mean, I don't know that it shows well on camera, but it already is doing like kind of a little bit of a variation on the surface. So, I mean, the miniature itself has that. Let me see what silver I have. Do I still have chainmail? Oh my gosh, I have mithril silver. Still some old mithril silver. Let's shake it up. Maybe it'll work. It's another one that I moved from the old bottles to these, and I don't love the old bottles, but I don't love these much more. That's pretty good. Looks good too. Put that back over here. Yeah, the other downer about these bottles is they do not fit in the Vallejo slash Army Painter racks. The racks that I have, these might be a little bit too, the tolerances might be too low. I really love these racks though, so it does fit some of this stuff. But the Vallejo, I had problems fitting some of the Vallejo in here as well. Well, what it was is the label had just gotten kind of, it was an old bottle of flesh tone. Old bottle of flesh tone, and it was a little too, the bottle had softened. This is probably beyond what you need to do. You could probably just do the line. It's working. It's pretty good. A little bit of variety in the shade there. Let's see if we can do a little bit on here as well. So this is one of the things about this not being glued, is it's kind of flexible. Well, I'm sure it's going to be flexible anyway, but it feels like it's really loose. Anyway, let's put some gold back on there. Well, I didn't get to the other shoulder. What is going on there? So that is red. Let's just go with the red we have. Let me touch up that one bit that I put a little bit of blue on. I definitely don't want to use this liner for anything else but lining. So let me clean it, put it away for now. Cool. Still the blue's okay. Put a little bit more here. What's going on there? Is it gelling? No, it doesn't seem to be. On the backpack, it's kind of going on unsmooth. Okay, well. That is not a good brush for that. It is tired. It's a Winsor Newton. I might have another one of those. Let's get another brush out. I have so many dinky brushes. I can't believe I painted minis this way. Because there's not a lot of paint on them. Well, I'm going to try to do that red. So let's just go ahead and try this brush and see how it goes. So I will use this crazy great ball red. I do put mixing balls inside the GW bottles for sure. So this is a single pigment paint. I haven't done the snakebite leather yet. All of that. I did the gold. That's what I was actually even opening it for. Goodness gracious. Let's do that gold real quick. I did all that just to do this. Also need to let that dry, but I won't stop till I do the snakebite leather. Man, Joe King, this popper palette is amazing. When it dries, well, even when it's wet, it cleans pretty easily because you just stick it under water and it cleans out real well. But when it's dry, it generally will have pulled away from the walls and just the piece of paint is laying inside the cup because I just let it go. There's a lot of paint in here. Too much gold came out of the bottle and I was just using it instead of trying to bring it back in, but whatever. At least it's a paint I can buy. Let me just do some more gold while I'm at it. It's not on camera. But I love this popper thing. This was $15 for two, and the other one I won't probably use because it's dark. I just got some on the but the one is worth it. If you can find another light one, I saw one on Amazon that was a bottle. I mean, not a bottle, a baseball. And I was not going to get that one, but I should have. But it wasn't going to come quickly, and that was what the issue was. I was ordering it directly from. I wanted to order it directly from Amazon or ships from Amazon, and so the one didn't do it. What was that? That's gold on there, maybe? I don't know. There's gold in them there hills. So I'm going to put a little bit of gold here. Let's use this little brush since it's a Laurel. Oof. Too much gold here. It might be drying. There are some like alcohol based metallics that are really nice. But I've only ever used them like once. This is doing okay for the brush being so dinky. We did watch the, wow, that blue just doesn't look like it's on there. We did watch the Lower Decks slash Stranger Worlds crossover. That was fun. Got a little bit on the knee inside the U. Not great. Well, let's just paint some blue on it and see what that does. It's pretty wet there, though. Doing a pretty good job covering it. And it's putting some blue in there, which I felt was not very strong, but I believe I painted that, but maybe I didn't. What other gold do we have here? The other shoulder. Let's do it now before I do the brown. This is too fine of a brush. I also think the paint is getting thicker. And that is not good. One thing that works though in paints for us in Southern California is when it's a standard acrylic, you can use retarder, and I have this golden retarder that actually slows down the drying time. It is really good, and I should be using it right now with this gold because it's drying pretty quickly. I didn't finish painting his arm. It still has a lot of blue on there that needs to get done. I will do that later. Yeah, it's a little thick. You don't want it to go on this thick. It's funny, the lighter gold that I mixed, either it's mixed, the two colors have separated. We have been watching the Ahsoka series. The new one came out today. We will watch that. We'll watch that tonight, probably. Oh no, we're filming. Maybe tomorrow night. I don't know how late we're planning on one game tonight. It's one that people have wanted us to do for a long time. Well, this version of it is new, but Russell loves the game. So we're going to do that, and that'll be awesome. I have never played the game. Nikki has. Hey, Broken Coffee Cup, thanks for the follow. Trying to paint the Warhammer 40,000, the Space Marine, the board game. This is the one Marine that comes in the box. He's cool. So let's paint the, boy, I might end up painting that tabard in traditional acrylics. I kind of want it to look, so here's a tabard that is sort of like where I want it to go, right? And I painted that. It's okay. Trying to blend it. There's a little bit of sloppiness there, but it looks fine. So I will probably go for that because I would like that to be a little bit bolder. I may actually just do it with thinned out standard acrylics, which will have some coating capability, but they'll maybe leave some of that shading. Anyway, let's try some snakebite leather. Then we'll get to that red. And then that'll have to be it. I think it's after 12:30 now. It is 12:34. Dangerous Out K. Well, hey, thanks for following Dangerous Out K. Let's see here. Yeah, this is also one of the first colors I bought was this. I mean, there's so much paint in here. Now, I haven't used as much snakebite leather as some of the other colors, but still, it lasts a long time. I kind of need to get a new brush out here. This is getting tired. Oops. Push that out of the way. Is that gold? No, it's just the brown looks goldish. Wow, it's drying so fast. That's not good. What is going on? Well, let me put some in the palette. Okay, and then a tiny drop of contrast medium maybe. I'm going the wrong way though, so that means I need to clean the brush. Like I said, definitely contrast medium first, paint second. I do have a little bit of distilled water. Let's go for it. I don't really love to use water to thin the contrast paints, but it looks too thick. I don't know what's going on there. Plus, I've got maybe too much glare. I can't really see what's going on here. Now, I let that dry quite a long time. It does seem like that lighter part is kind of showing up a little bit too much, but that'll have to do. This is not that dark of a color, and I have thinned it out a bit with the contrast medium and a tiny bit of water, which maybe was a bad choice, but it was not going on smoothly, so. There's like a bubble here, or maybe that's just a bit of something in the paint. That's certainly possible. He's got a bunch of pouches on here too. Might as well just paint him now. And a belt. I might paint those differently though. Maybe black leather. What did they do on the picture? It is a brown leather belt. It's really pooling. I'm gonna let it go. Let's just do the brown here for the belt. I feel it's not quite right, but maybe multiple coats will make it the right color. That looks pretty good though. Let me get a smaller brush to do a bit of brown on that part that I can't reach. I mean, this is an old bottle. Maybe it's getting tired. Looks cool. Let me put a little bit more of the blue on that ultramarine logo here. So there's some damage I'm going to want to figure out how to do. Yeah, there's something that was weird with the paint there. Oh well. On the backpack it has like some texture, which really shouldn't be the issue with these contrast paints. I mean, they're so thin. Well, they're not that thin. Hey, there's a bit of gold that did not get on that point. Have to figure out what's going on with that. It looks like an abacus on his, I'm sure it's some sort of a religious thing. There's probably some gold on the pommel or whatever that's called on the sword here. Am I using the, oh, I'm using the round. And then there's some sort of a red leather on that. And it goes up in between here, which I did not do a good job on. That might need to be a standard paint. Do I have anything here? Well, let's try. I keep wanting doing other things than what I should be doing. Wow, this paint's still alive. And it kind of looks like the color I want. Let's see if it'll mix into something. Oh, it's kind of thick. It's probably mixed up enough. I absolutely should have put this on the palette. It is thick. So, before I go any further, let's put a little bit on the palette. Tiny bit of water. Because it's filling up the gap in the leather here, like the leather wrap on the sword. Getting it on a glove or the gauntlet or okay, I'll work on that later and do some highlights on that. They really do amazing stuff on those, on the leather wrapping. It's so, it really knocks me out. Okay, so I'm sorry, you can't see. The snakebite leather looks pretty good on that, whatever this pouch is. It looks like it's a gun holster, but I don't know. Maybe some sort of knife? Because that gun doesn't fit in there. That's huge. Okay, some red. Shook that up a while ago. Let's see if it'll go okay with this brush. I'm going full red with this one. It's a bright one. I was very happy when they introduced this one because it was one of the colors. It's not this color though from Speed Paint, but Army Painter. But I wanted a better red, even though I like the two reds that I have anyway. I don't think there's many more. Now this will dry a lot darker. Oh, you can't see it. Ugh, I just got it on the gold, on the blue. Be best not to do that. So I may end up coming back on it with some white to try to make that red bolder. Let's go to the other side since that's wet. It really is kind of the color I want when it's wet, and that's not going to be what we get. There's where using a standard acrylic would be better. Standard acrylics also dry down to a darker color, but it would probably be closer since I'm actually putting it on a non-white surface. It's just, it's a gray. Got a little bit on the this seal or this, yeah, it's like a scroll or whatever. It's the name, or I don't know if it's his name on it, but maybe a religious saying, or I might say ultra. It's kind of like what that looks like. But I will fix that with some gray, and then I will paint that brown. Or I might just paint regular Wraithbone on it. That might be the good color. And then with some... He says, let's do it. What time is it? It's 12:49. Okay, I need to quit pretty soon here. Shoot, I really do want to keep going. Let me just paint this little bit here. Did I put a bearing in here? I think I did. A BB or something, or some sort of agitator. Make sure it doesn't have any red in the paintbrush. So this is the problem with using a tiny brush like this. No paint. The belly is just the thinnest little thing, and it just doesn't help you at all. Hey, there's some red under there I did not get. Should actually be using this on the skull as well. Seeing a little bit more red I didn't do. Fine job till then. Okay. Back to the red for a little bit here that I missed. But you can see already it's quite a bit darker. So there's not a lot of pigment to actually make that brighter, but I will put a little bit more on and see if it helps. It looks cool though. I mean, it looks nice. It's not perfect. I definitely want to paint the skull, and then I might just do it right now that it's open and put some inks and some highlights on it later. Not in focus. I think this is a double lot, and it's almost too small too. I mean, it really isn't You want to use a larger brush just to get the belly and be able to go longer between putting paint on. Where this paint seemed very thin, but it's kind of thick now. Not sure what's happening. It's not focusing. I got some on his elbow. That's okay though. I think I will just do my best to clean up and put some blue back on it. I didn't paint his arms, so that's part of the issue here. So a case can be made, you know, people like to paint this stuff before you assemble it. I've only ever done that a couple times. I like to have it put together because I don't like dealing with the seams after it's painted. Any kind of seams, I can fix those in advance of painting it. And so it might not be the best solution. Those chains. He's got that gun held to his hand. Maybe. Okay, well, there you go. The red looks pretty good. I feel like I got some on the scroll there, though. Let me... I don't know though. Oh, you know what it is? It's a fold of the scroll. I should have, that's probably why I didn't paint it in the first place. Ugh. I have to clean this area twice now. Okay. We'll let that dry. Okay. Cool. Well, let me cut. Okay, well, I guess that's it. I won't be painting again for a couple weeks. Maybe I'll paint this weekend, we'll see. And maybe I'll stream if I get everything done. Nikki will be also busy on Monday, so maybe I'll stream on Monday. I would really like to get further along on this stuff. Anyway, we will be back on, hey James Wachtel. Just wanted to say hi and enjoy your game night videos. Thanks so much. And Barker Jeremy, I'm having an anxiety attack and this video brought me down to earth. Oh, awesome. Thanks for the unintentional AMSR. Well, ASMR. We actually kind of do that with our shows too. People joke that we are ASMR. Deborah was joking about it on Sunday. She actually watches it for relaxation as well. She was having stress and she's like, game night always works. So, but we'll be streaming on Thursday. I know that Russell won't be joining us. We were hoping that he might, but he is going to Vegas. So hopefully you guys can join us. Let me see here. What can we raid? It might be Ruel. Am I on the wrong computer for that? I probably am. Let's go to this other thing here. There we are. Let's do some raid searching here. So for the YouTube folks, I'm sorry you can't join us on the raid. Anybody else? Please click in on Twitch if you'd like to go through. It's Rado runs through. It might be it is Ruel, and as one of his I can't remember, Matthew. So we're going to start the raid. If you want to join in, go ahead. If you can join us on Thursday, it'll be 5:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and hopefully I'll see you guys all there. Take care. Well, I'm not quite done yet. I got to wait for the raid to happen. I don't know if they're in their countdown stuff. Thanks, Joe King. Do you just not paint in my jerseys? I would love to paint the jerseys, but I don't want to destroy them. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye-bye. That's weird. See you YouTube folks as well. Bye, everybody.